Hi, my name is Victoria Moore, and this is my PowerPoint presentation on carbohydrates and the important role they play in our bodies. So what will we cover in this video is we'll cover what a carbohydrate is and the different forms they come in, good and bad carbohydrates, fad diets, and what happens to your body during them, and why they tend to exclude or limit carbohydrate intake, and the role they play in our bodies and daily lives. So before getting started, let's test your knowledge. So when I say carbohydrates, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For me, before I was educated about them, I basically just thought bread and grains, and I just assumed that all were bad because you always hear that you have to exclude them or limit them to be healthy and lose weight. So if you have a generic hue like me, I hope throughout this presentation that changes. So what is a carbohydrate? A carbohydrate is a macronutrient that is important for energy in the brain, nervous system, and body. It's mainly from plant-derived foods, so fruit, vegetables, and grains are some examples. 45 to 65% of our total energy intake for the day should be from carbohydrates. Two main forms of carbohydrates are simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Glucose is the most abundant and known carbohydrate in the body and will be focused on in this presentation. So glucose is derived from photosynthesis. It's a monosaccharide, which means one sugar molecule. And some other forms of monosaccharides are galactose, ribose, and fructose. There are another form of carbohydrate, complex carbohydrates, and that means two sugar molecules joining together. And some examples are lactose, maltose, and sucrose. Glucose is the preferred energy source for the brain, but it's also very important for all of our cells. And our red blood cells rely on glucose. So carbohydrates fuel activity and exercise by being the main source of energy. Glucose is used to fuel breathtaking exercises and activities. So for example, like running or cycling or weightlifting are some examples. Glucose can be broken down very fast for energy, whereas fats, for example, take longer because they need oxygen to break down. So it's important to eat enough carbohydrates to fuel your brain and body, your red blood cells, and your muscles. So carbohydrates spare proteins. So if you don't eat enough carbohydrates, the body will use fats and proteins as its main energy source. If carbs aren't consumed, the body will make glucose from protein, and it does that by taking amino acids and converting them to glucose. So by not including carbs in your diet, protein will be able to fulfill its normal duties because it'll have to do the duties of the carbohydrates. So not eating a sufficient amount of them could damage your body by decreasing your muscle mass, not supporting your immune function, and possibly damaging your organs. So it would be better to eat a normal, healthy, balanced diet that includes the proper amounts of all your macronutrients than it would be to exclude one like carbohydrates. Because in exercise, for example, before your workout, if you eat carbohydrates, you have your energy source, and after, if you eat your protein, you have your source to rebuild and repair your muscles. So do carbohydrates make you gain weight? It has been proven that it's not carbohydrates that make you gain weight, and it's just an excess amount of energy intake that the body doesn't burn off. So not all carbohydrates are bad. There are some good. So for example, what's better to eat before a workout? A banana or some cookies? The obvious answer is probably the banana because it's a good form of carbohydrate, whereas cookies aren't, and they're empty calories. So eating healthy carbs like fiber has been proven to reduce obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. Fad diets. So I think everyone has known someone or has been on a fad diet themselves, and they're not always doing it in the smartest, educated way. So carbohydrate intakes tend to be the main focus of many fad diets. Some examples of these fad diets are the Atkins diet, keto, and power protein diet. They limit carbohydrates and increase your fat and protein intakes to achieve weight loss, which could have disastrous consequences in addition to its immediate benefits. So, although these diets can work quickly, they don't prove to be any more successful than eating a normal, healthy, balanced diet with the right amounts of your macronutrients. So, if someone you know or yourself is on a fat diet and aren't educated fully about them, you should seek professional help before doing so, because you could be damaging your body in ways you don't even know. Lots of people don't understand fad diets properly. For example, I know someone who is on the keto diet, and she texted me and told me, and she said it's high protein and greens. And I said that it's also high fats. It's supposed to be high fat so your body can perform ketosis. So that's just one example of people not being educated enough to be on these fad diets. So in conclusion, and what did you learn? So now when I say carbohydrates, what's the first thing that comes into your head? Hopefully, if it was something as generic as mine was, I hope that changes through this presentation. And in conclusion, cutting out carbohydrates or any macronutrient in the diet could be unhealthy, dangerous, and unnecessary, as they perform specific and special functions. And if you're planning to cut out any macronutrient or carbohydrates, to make sure you do it safely so you don't harm your body in any way. And these are my references. I'll move them a bit closer so they're a little easier to see. Hopefully you can see that. So that's my carbohydrate presentation on the importance of what they do in your body, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.